Hi, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. Welcome back to the Windows Server Summit for 2025, and specifically, welcome back to our session on software-defined networking. My name is Kyle Bisnett, and I'm one of the PMs on the SDN team. And of course, today I am joined by our teams, Samuel Lee and Cindy Wan. Again, we have a really jam-packed agenda, so we're going to go through those agenda items and then kind of get right into it. So first, we're going to go through a State of the Union for Windows Server 2025 SDN, and we'll kind of recap the features that we've brought in from last year, as well as some of the features that we will be bringing in, throughout the next couple of years, of course. And then I'm going to cover the infrastructure footprint reduction. And, last year we spoke with you all about network controller on failover cluster and getting away from VMs. We're going to give a quick update on that and where we're going into the future. Then Sam's going to come in and chat about BGP-less SLB and some SDN health monitoring work that we're doing, which is pretty awesome. I'll kind of circle back with you all on SDN Sandbox, which is a small surprise that we have in store for all of you. And then Cindy's going to close us out with our SDN YouTube channel, what we're doing for evangelization, and then, of course, our 6 steps to networking success. So without further ado, let's hop into the State of the Union for Windows Server 2025. Now, last year, we announced network controller on failover cluster, moving away from VMs and putting NC directly on bare metal. I won't speak too much about this because I'm going to chat about it in the infrastructure footprint reduction section. But again, I wanted to highlight this and make sure you all understand and know that it's available in Windows Server 2025. And again, this is based on all of your feedback that all of our customers continuously give to us. So thank you for that. The next piece is VM default network policies, or DNP. And again, this is no VM left behind, and it's really the ability to have a network security group on your VM from the time that it's built, practically even before the ISO is loaded onto the VM. And again, just a quick recap here is this follows the same Azure-like process for NSGs, which is we'll open some ports that you define, well-known ports, but then we block all other inbound traffic. And then, of course, we allow all outbound traffic for the VM. And don't worry, if you already have an NSG that you wish to use, you can simply attach that NSG during the VM creation process in Windows Admin Center. The next piece is VM tag-based segmentation. And again, this is a really powerful feature for folks who may not know all of the networking construct. Put yourself in the persona of a junior admin who may not understand all of the networking constructs and the NSGs, but they're building a VM. You can take a key value pair, such as VM equals SQL, and as long as that junior admin is attaching the SQL tag to every SQL VM that he or she is building, then they can ensure that they're getting the proper network security group rules and, of course, microsegmentation. SDN multisite, a super powerful feature that we released in Windows Server 2025. And again, this gives you the ability to take a network controller and pair it with another network controller and be able to provide native L2 and L3 communication between those environments, as well as take network security groups and elevate those to a global policy that can then be shared and unified across those 2 environments. So again, it's super powerful. Last but certainly not least is our high performance L3 gateways. And this is, of course, using FastPath. The other 2 features here are coming soon, and this is our simplified SDN load balancer, and also Sam's going to chat about this today, our SDN health alerts that are directly on the Azure portal. So again, kind of wanted to give all of you a recap of the features that we brought into Windows Server 2025 that you can go out and use today. And now we're going to kind of transition over to our infrastructure footprint reduction update. Now, last year, I chatted quite a bit about network controller on failover cluster. This year, I felt it'd be best to go back in history and give you all kind of a small history lesson on where we were to where we're going. So when we think about the SDN infrastructure footprint reduction, that picture on the left-hand side with Windows Server 2012 R2 SDN, if you remember, we required customers to hold 2 physical machines for all of your gateway deployments on VMs. There was a lot of processing that you had to hold in order to deploy gateway VMs. If you remember that picture, there's PS2 ports on those servers, so this is quite a ways back. We also required you to use Virtual Machine Manager because that was the way that we would push policy, SDN policy specifically, to the hosts. Now, as we moved into 2016, 2019, and 2022, of course, we modernized and we moved to virtual machines. Not only did we move to virtual machines, but we also opened up the management experience for Windows Admin Center, of course, which is our tool of choice for Windows Server 2025. Now, we're not stopping there. Of course, we're hearing your feedback here. Modernize, transform, no more SDN infra VMs. I just want to recap real quick. Last year, we brought in network controller on failover cluster, and this was really taking NC out of virtual machines and putting it directly on bare metal. And this is open for every Windows Server 2025 SDN deployment, as well as Azure Local. Now, when we say directly on bare metal, that means we have no more VMs to patch. VMs require a lot of care and feeding, right? We have to go install security agents. We have to patch them. We have to hold vprocs from your bare metal hosts when we can give those vprocs back to you for your important workloads. This came out for Windows Server 2025, and of course, it's available for you all. And just want to give credit to Cindy, Sam, and Lior for crafting up this awesome diagram for us on bare metal based on your feedback. And again, we spent a lot of time with so many of you, all of our customers. Where are we going next? Now, this is a sneak peek. I won't dive deep on this, but I want to make sure you all know that it's something that's coming, and we'll be back next year to share a lot more news here. But coming soon, we will be eliminating VMs for L3 and GRE gateway connections. And again, this is feedback we've heard from you all. Once I have NC on FC deployed on bare metal and I stand up a virtual network, I need a way to get out of that virtual network. And of course, that's where we need to make it easier for you all to be able to deploy L3 and, of course, GRE gateway connections. So we hope you'll come with us for the journey. And again, we'll be sharing a lot more next year. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Sam to walk us through the next section. Sam, over to you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Sam, and I'm a PM on the SDN team. Thank you, Kyle, for that intro. Today, I'll be talking to you all about BGP-less SLB and SDN health faults. Starting with BGP-less SLB, we are now offering our SLB services without the need to configure BGP peering. On the next slide, we'll dive into BGP-less SLB. Our story with BGP-less SLB really starts with BGP, or Border Gateway Protocol, which is the protocol that ties the internet together. It's an incredibly versatile and dynamic protocol that helps customers advertise their network routes to the internet. That being said, it's a fickle protocol that can be hard to manage and secure at times. A simple misconfiguration or a false advertisement, and you can have some serious problems on your hand. On screen are just a few notable cases where BGP misconfigurations have led to serious downtimes and revenue losses for various services over the past few years. On the next slide, I'll go into some of the pain points with BGP and why we wanted to go with BGP-less SLB. As a result of BGP's fickle nature, making any changes or advertising any routes through it can be a point of paranoia for network admins. The fickle nature warrants additional scrutiny and oversight when making BGP changes to ensure that issues do not occur. The paranoia and the added oversight just make it seem unnecessary for smaller deployments, especially if someone just wants to use our load balancing services. So we wanted to provide a lighter alternative to our load balancing services through BGP-less SLB. On the next slide, I'll kind of go into detail of what has really changed here. So with BGP-less SLB, we no longer require ASN number or anything of that sort for BGP peering. With BGP-less SLB, we advertise your routes through ARP, or Address Resolution Protocol. No, this is an alternative deployment option for SLB. We still have BGP peering as an option. On the next slide, I'll do a quick comparison of BGP SLB with BGP-less SLB. So with BGP SLB, again, our deployment options requires you to have your SDN ASN number and your top of rack ASN number. With BGP-less SLB, all we require is that you configure your public and private VIP onto your network with a VLAN. So with BGP SLB, we have high availability in an active-active configuration. But with BGP-less SLB, we are in active and passive configuration. So this will require a bit of failover time, around 15 to 60 seconds or so. That being said, we are making headway to reduce that failover time to be in line with our competitors, such as Metal LP. Again, the recommended deployment sizes, right, for BGP-less SLB is on the smaller side, 2 to 3 nodes, where BGP SLB is on your larger 4+ node deployments. On this slide, we have BGP-less SLB demonstrated. In this setup, I have 2 MUX VMs, 1 network controller, and 2 customer backend VMs. In this video, which I'll play now,
Our setup today is pretty standard. We have 2 customer VMs, our NC VM, our MUX VMs, and our pseudo top-of-rack switch VM. We don't have BGP on this setup, so our MUXes are not BGP peered with our top-of-rack switch. We can confirm this by going to our Tor VM by dumping our BGP config, which throws an error since we don't have BGP peered. Next, we're going to transition to our MUX VM. For our BGP-less setup, we can dump our load balancing information from our MUX. From this dump, we can see our load balancing rule set up with VIP 192.187.2.20. Since we don't have BGP peering, this VIP will be configured on a network interface on the MUX. Now let's run our network traffic test. On the top, we have our 2 customer VMs with TCP listeners, and we'll have a third terminal at the bottom to send our TCP traffic to our customer VMs. As you can see, both VMs receive the packet.
With this demonstration, you can see BGP-less SLB in action. As far as availability goes for Windows Server 2025, this will be coming in the next couple of months, so stay posted for any news coming from the product group team. There'll be blogs and there'll be additional learned documentation, so stay posted. In the next slide, I'll be talking about SDN health faults. We are also improving our health and observability for SDN in Server 2025. On the next slide, I will walk us through a journey through memory lane first. We start our health and observability journey with a simple REST-based system. In the next slide, I'll show you a quick example of what that looks like. So our REST-based observability was this giant list of JSON that was incredibly verbose and very detailed as to what's going on, but difficult to read. So our next step in the next slide is that we've made improvements to integrate our REST and PowerShell-based monitoring with Windows Admin Center with a graphical user interface to improve readability. And what that looks like in the next slide is something like this. Everything that you have with your REST-based PowerShell commandlets bubble up to you in an easy-to-observe interface, which is great, but it could be clearer, it could be better. So where we are today in the next slide and where we are intending to go is to further integrate this with additional other cluster services available in Windows Server 2025. And so throughout this journey, we really focused on 3 principles, which I will show just below. Through this journey, we really focus on observability, actionability, and integrability for our SDN health monitoring piece. In this journey and where we are today is that with SDN health monitoring, we wanted to provide clearer and more actionable insights for customers so that they can go out and troubleshoot and remediate on their own. In the next slide, I'll show you where we are today. So where we are today is we've added more deterministic heuristics that'll give you a clear indication into what service is going on. As you can see on this page right now, our firewall service and our gateway services are down. As before, you can only get that information through PowerShell commandlets or REST commandlets or through the Windows Admin Center UI, and it's pretty vague and difficult to really root cause what's going on. So with these new heuristics, we hope to streamline and cut down the time to determine what's going on. So in the next slide, I'll cover all of the different types of heuristics that we have implemented. Again, a very high-level overview. We've covered infrastructure, certificates, policy configurations, SDN diagnostics, as well as fabric health. This is a very high-level overview of what we've done. Specific examples of heuristics for our certificates would be, for instance, we've built in deterministic health faults to show you what's going on with expiration or renewals, or for instance, in infrastructure health, what types of microservices have gone down. In the next slide, I'll walk through a quick demonstration of this SDN health faults in action. In this demo, I'll show you how you can access and view SDN health faults on Windows Admin Center. First off, go to the extensions page in Settings on Windows Admin Center and make sure your SDN infrastructure component is updated to the latest version. After confirming your SDN infrastructure extension is up to date, enter your cluster where SDN is deployed. After you've entered your cluster, navigate to the SDN infrastructure blade in the table of contents on the left-hand side. Once there, you'll see a tab called SDN Health Faults. All your health faults will live there. At the moment, we have a health fault that's already triggered. For demonstration purposes, I'll trigger a fault by disabling SDN's firewall services. Remember, on this setup, I am using NC on failover clustering. This means that NC and its microservices are natively installed on the host as failover clustering services. SDN Health Monitoring Services has a monitoring cycle of 10 minutes. So in order for our most recent change to be detected and shown on Windows Admin Center, we will have to wait a bit. Using some editing magic, we can skip ahead. After the monitoring cycle completes, we can see the alert in Windows Admin Center. To access SDN Health Monitoring, please use the latest SDN Express version to deploy. And with that, I'll pass the mic to Kyle.
Thank you, Sam. That's awesome. It's exciting to see the work that's being done on SDN Health Monitoring. It's something that customers, all of you, have been asking for, right? So we're excited to hear your feedback, and be sure to put that in the comments on the video or during the Q&A as well. So today, I'm going to come back and kind of chat with you all about a surprise, which is really SDN Sandbox. For a while, we've heard from many of you, and again, this is kind of being built directly from your feedback, that, hey, we want an easy way to see the value of SDN right away, whether this be in deployment, whether it be in actual use case scenarios. So again, this is built directly from your feedback with a goal of democratizing SDN product demos, getting the visuals out to you quicker, and helping you all to see the value right away. So that way, when you need to go chat with your leadership team to talk about SDN, you can do that without having to deploy a bunch of gear, or maybe even have to go the route of having high-end server gear, right? So there were a few things that kind of gave us guardrails for building this. Some of those were SDN Playground for All, which means you don't have to have a huge server. It needed to be compact, of course, within reason. It's still a full SDN environment. So, we needed to make that as compact as possible. The other piece was customer scenarios. So if I think about, hey, as a customer, I want to go build network security groups or build tenant VMs. We wanted to make this really easy with scripts for you all, so that you don't actually have to sit there and click through the GUI to see what SDN can really do behind the scenes. And then on top of that, you wanted to have multiple deployment options. So say you want to deploy just native SDN or NC on FC, but then you want to add on SLB and gateway on your own, or maybe you want to deploy the entire environment from one get-go and it's fully automated. So we wanted to make sure you had those multiple deployment options. And then, of course, super easy removal and rehydration. No external dependencies, no dependencies on physical switches, really making it so that you only need a single NIC on a physical server with at least 1 gig of throughput to be able to run all of SDN. So let's kind of chat through how we're doing this. We're kind of introducing SDN Sandbox this year. When we look at the environment, this is all deployed with a single PowerShell command. And there's a few requirements that we have. The first is 128 gigs of RAM, a 300 gig SSD, a single 1 gig NIC connection, and you need to have Windows Server 2025 installed and fully patched. Now, as part of this, we'll build 2 virtualized hosts. That means S2D will get configured, failover cluster will become configured, Hyper-V will become configured, essentially 2 virtualized nodes in a cluster. And then we build another management host. And this management host is going to house a few VMs. One is a Contoso Active Directory. So again, no external dependencies, right? We will hydrate and rehydrate an Active Directory for you as part of this. We'll also hydrate a top-of-rack switch using RAS, essentially. So it's just a VM, no external switch dependencies or anything of that sort. And then we even go the extra mile with making sure we install Windows Admin Center version 2, of course, and we put a shortcut on the desktop for you. So again, super easy to do, super easy to get kicked off on SDN. And then we provide some SDN deployment options like native SDN, traditional SDN, which is, of course, as you all know, network controller on service fabric. And then we provide different options for each one of those, which is just deploy the management plane or go ahead and deploy SLB and gateways as part of it. And again, since you have an RAS VM that's acting as a top-of-rack switch, you can build an L3 gateway connection. So let's go ahead and hop in and check out a demo of this. So what you'll see here is we're sitting on the desktop. Now, what I'm going to do is navigate into the SDN Sandbox scripts. there is a configuration file in here that you can fill out. Again, we wanted to provide you some options. So when we go into SDN Sandbox and we click on SDN Sandbox config, you'll see all of these various parameters that you can change, such as where are your VHDX paths? Do you want to have a specific password for this? What's the product key? What kind of Active Directory domain name do you want? Those types of things. Now, as we go forward, we're just going to make sure that we're in the right directory, and then we're going to run new SDN Sandbox. Now, this will kick off the entire deployment of those 3 virtualized hosts that I mentioned. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is we're not deploying SDN yet, right? The goal here is we wanted to have these 2 separate deployments where you can kind of clean the SDN environment while still keeping your virtualized hosts up. So just to ensure I'm not lying to all of you, here is the deployment after about an hour and 40 minutes. You'll see those 2 SDN hosts and our SDN management host. Now, what we'll do is we're going to look at SDN management, and we're going to look at the virtual machines that are running on top of this host as well. And again, keeping me honest here, you'll see that we have Admin Center, we have our top of rack switch, and we also have our Contoso DC. And again, this is all built automatically just from that single line of PowerShell. And then if we close out, you'll see that beautiful Admin Center shortcut for you so you can hop right into WAC Gateway V2. Once you're there, you can see all of the other features and roles we added too. So you'll see failover cluster, DNS, AD. And then we also take all of the SDN scripts and we put them in a folder so that you can kick off your SDN installation. And again, once you choose one of those scripts, it'll go ahead and install SDN without any parameters or anything needing to be filled out from you. Now, on top of that, we have our SDN examples. So create tenant VMs. We'll actually build 2 VMs for you automatically. For load balancing, gateways, if we go into gateways, for example, we'll automatically create an L3 gateway connection for you. And then you can go into Windows Admin Center and actually view what that gateway connection looks like after it's been built. Now, we're done with the environment. How do we actually remove this? Again, we're making it really easy. So we just do delete equals true. And once we do that, we'll actually go clean the entire environment. All the VMs, all of the data disks, all of the vSwitches, the NAT rules, and then you could simply kick this back off. And in another hour and 40 minutes, you have an entire SDN environment available to you. So again, wanted to make it super easy. We hope you all are excited about this. This will be coming in 2 weeks, roughly 2 weeks, and this will be packaged up as part of SDN Express. So when you do an install-module SDN Express, you'll actually get the SDN Sandbox with it, as well as the user guide with all of the instructions. So again, looking forward to hearing your feedback. Please be sure to put the feedback in the comments section and what you'd like to see next for SDN Sandbox. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Cindy.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kyle. So hi, everyone. I'm Cindy, and I'm a PM on the SDN team alongside Sam and Kyle here. So in this next slide, we've kind of already talked a lot about all of the awesome SDN features that are available or they're coming soon. And so for any more information on any of these topics, a great resource that I want to call out is our Microsoft SDN YouTube channel. And so our YouTube channel includes all up-to-date technical content covering SDN features, deployment, and data plane topologies. And then best of all of this content is free so that anyone and everyone can learn about SDN. Next, we can see our SDN YouTube channel homepage. So we've recently released a demo on installing SDN through WAC and PowerShell, as well as an all-up video on what features are available on Windows Server 2025 that I will actually be showing here in just a few moments. And we have a lot more content scheduled to be released soon. So if there are any videos on specific topics that you want to see, please let us know and we'll make sure to get those prioritized and published. I would love to share a demo that I've already pre-recorded that shows our 6 steps to networking success. So I'll be walking you through all of the Windows Server 2025 features that our SDN team, as well as our colleagues Parv and Basil on the host networking side, have worked so hard to release. And also for more information, please check out Parv and Basil's host networking for a Windows Server 2025 session as well. And so now we'll take a look at that demo. Windows Server 2025 transforms the way you deploy, manage, and monitor your network, from the physical infrastructure hosting your applications to the applications themselves, whether they run on VMs or containers. Setting up your physical Windows Server cluster to host workloads has never been easier. Previously, this process required numerous manual configurations and hours to complete, often leading to errors. With Network ATC on Windows Server 2025, you can now do this with a single command. Using Windows Admin Center or PowerShell, you can specify whether a physical network interface is for compute, storage, or management, and Network ATC handles the rest. Once your network fabric is set up with Network ATC, operational issues like misbehaving NICs, outdated drivers, or mismatched VLANs can arise. But fear not. Windows Server 2025 includes Network HUD, an operational monitoring tool, alerting you to various networking issues in Windows Admin Center, ensuring you're always on top of your network's health. Now, as you get ready to deploy your applications, securing network access is paramount, protecting your applications from external and internal threats. Windows Server 2025's SDN tag-based segmentation allows you to precisely filter network traffic between virtual machines using inbound and outbound allow and deny rules. Define custom tags, attach them to your VMs, and create security rules specifying source tags, destination tags, ports, and protocols. For example, the VM on the left can RDP to the destination, while the VM on the right cannot, enhancing your security posture. With your application secured, let's talk about performance. Accelerated networking enables high-performance networking for VMs, reducing latency, jitter, and CPU utilization. And all of this is continuously managed as your VMs migrate across hosts. As demonstrated here, AccelNet significantly reduces CPU utilization, optimizing network performance. With your deployment running smoothly, expanding your Windows Server cluster to another location is a breeze. SDN Multisite allows you to extend your network and security policies seamlessly and migrate VMs between locations without reconfiguring applications or their networking. Here I have a setup where SDN Multisite is already configured. There are 2 VMs on the same site, and I'm going to move one of these VMs to a different site. As you can see, this PMR VM has now moved to the other site. Let's check if these VMs are still able to talk to each other. Even though these 2 VMs are on different sites, you can see that they are still able to seamlessly communicate with each other without any changes to its networking settings, and that is the power of SDN Multisite. Experience these innovations today with Windows Server 2025 and elevate your network management to new heights. So as we wrap up here, I just wanted to provide a few key calls to action. So we would really love for you all to try out all of the new SDN features that are currently available and that are coming to Windows Server 2025. And we would also love some feedback on the SDN infrastructure footprint reduction and where we should go next. We also would really appreciate if you could engage with our Microsoft SDN YouTube channel by giving us a like and subscribe. And please check out our new blog series for deploying Windows Server 2025 clusters with Edge networking solutions, which is out now. And then last but not least, we would really value your feedback on our session. So please complete a short session evaluation by scanning this QR code here. And finally, give us feedback on anything and everything at sdn_feedback@microsoft.com. We hope this session was both helpful and exciting for everyone, and we're so excited to be releasing so many awesome features on Windows Server 2025. So please look forward to those, and thank you all for tuning into our session.